Josh Green here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Carl Greaves, the Swiss Army knife of boxing. He's done it all. Victorious on Saturday night with Emma Dolan. How you doing, Carl?
I'm good, Josh. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very, very well, mate. As I
Good,
mentioned
man.
there, Emma, the new British champion, adding to the Commonwealth belt. Really exciting times now for Emma. Big fights moving forward.
Yeah, she done absolutely fantastic. Listened to the corner well, executed the game plan perfectly, and in my opinion, never really in any danger. Controlled the fight. Nice long arms, long levers. Was catching Shannon a lot on the way in and the way out. So yeah, really pleased with the result, and it was a big win. There's no better feeling than getting a big upset win on a TV show, I tell you. So it's up there with one of my best wins as a trainer and obviously a manager. I'm delighted for her, yeah.
How important was it for her to put on such a performance, as you say, on a big TV card, even though it was in the away corner, and get some eyes on her and start to build that profile a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always knew she had the beating of Shannon as soon as the fight was announced. I was a little bit good when she had to pull out the first time. She had a severe chest infection, was really poorly, and she was devastated when she had to pull out. But this time we finally got it on. I think Shannon was very confident early doors in her press conferences and things, but I think as the fight was getting closer, it was dawning in on her. I think she realised that she was in for a proper fight because she couldn't intimidate Emma. Uh, Emma's a throwback. She's an old school fighter, nothing fancy, does all the basics properly. It just proves you that a good jab and a good backhand can win you a fight without being too flashy and overconfident. And that's what we did. But it was a massive win. We had to win this fight. Obviously, if you lose at that level, it's a bit hard to take. But she's got the British and Commonwealth now, and I know BoxRec isn't the best of ranking, but she's number 9 in the world now, number 1 in Britain. So we can look closer and edge towards a world title fight, because obviously they move women a lot faster than they do the men because there isn't the depth there.
Is that something that you think's realistic in the next sort of 12, 18 months, maybe 1 or 2 fights, and then you never know, a world title might be knocking on the door?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the next fight really, the next step for Emma really would be the European title. That's held by Lauren Parker. So I think obviously all 3 belts on the line: British, Commonwealth, European. And I think the winner of that could go on and fight for a world title. I mean, I know that Shannon was WBA international title. Her title wasn't on the line, which I was surprised about, but they probably didn't want to pay the sanction fees, obviously, for another bout when there was probably no need to do it when we already had an high-profile British title fight on there, which was the first ever female British title fight at super flyweight. So that's what sold it, and like you say, it's added to Emma's Commonwealth. But yeah, I think the European title will be a great fight for Emma next. Obviously, 3 belts on the line, and the winner of that will definitely be in line for a world title, in my opinion. Because, like I say, it's not massive super flyweights out there, and Emma's highly ranked in the world now.
One man that has got a world title shot is David Avanesyan, going overseas to face Boots Ennis. And we talk about opportunities. It's a massive opportunity for him. The last time he had something this big was obviously the Terence Crawford fight. He came out of that with plenty of credit. What do you expect this time around against Boots?
Yeah, we're under no illusions. It's an hard task. It's a massive task. We've only had just under 5 weeks' notice, which isn't great. But one thing with David, he's always in fantastic shape. Back home in Pettigrew, he's always training, doing all his hard stuff, his weights, his strength work, his bag work. And when he comes over to me, it's just all about fine tuning, sparring, good pad work, technical work, and just sharpening him up. And that's what we're doing. And but we know it's a big task. It's a big ask. I mean, Boots Ennis is one of the pound for pound best in the world. I mean, a lot of people are saying he's better than Crawford. But you got to remember, David was in that fight with Crawford until obviously Crawford put his foot down in the 6th round when he knew them gloves was coming off and got David out there. But Yeah, we're not underestimating Boots, because we know he's a special talent, and if he underestimates David, he's in for a shock, because on his day, David can beat anybody in the world, and he's proved that in the past. I mean, just look at his resume. He's beat some very good fighters. He's been in the Lions Den probably 95% of his career, even when he was back home in Russia, and he was fighting on them shows, and most of the time he was the away fighter, and obviously look at his record. I mean, he speaks for himself. I mean, he's been all over the world. I mean, Neil's done a fantastic job with him, Neil Marsh. I mean, the fights he's got him is unbelievable. I mean, we've like I say, we've been all over the world, and the journey's been unbelievable, and it's still continuing. And we're now off to Philadelphia, the home of Rocky Balboa.
Do you feel like David still gets underestimated, even though he's got all those times he's proved the critics wrong, he's proved people wrong, and do people still underestimate him, do you feel?
I don't know about underestimating, but I just think he's in the who needs him club. He's too dangerous for a certain level, and probably been on the fringe of being a top elite world title, world champion. I mean, I know he's been world champion before, but he's always fell short of the final hurdle against the elite, which are the elite. And obviously, you're looking at the likes of Terence Crawford and Kavalauskas and fighters like that they're elite level fighters. But I know on his day, when David brings it and is in his 100%, I know on his day he can beat anybody in the world. And I mean, like I say, Boots Ennis is a formidable fighter. He's got an unbelievable record: 31 wins, 28 knockouts. But when you look through his record, I mean, David's probably one of his toughest fights today, if not his toughest. So, like I say, you know what I mean. If you underestimate David, he's in for a shock.
Couple of bits of business I want to speak to you about. Former opponent of David Avanesyan's, Josh Kelly, is rumoured to be taking on Liam Smith on the AJ Wembley card. What we've seen of Josh Kelly over the last couple of years since his defeat to David, he sort of had to rebuild, but he seems to be sort of taking that shot once again if it is to be Liam Smith. How would you see that fight going?
Yeah, he's looking like he's doing well at super welterweight, and this might be the perfect timing. I mean, Liam Smith's a great fighter. He's been a great champion. He's been in with the best, but it's all about timing. And they're probably looking at this and thinking, right, this is the right time to get Liam Smith for Josh Kelly, and we're going to take it. And obviously, Josh is still rising to a degree, and Liam's on his final legs. You know what I mean? He's on his last couple of fights. It probably will be his final fight. So it's all about timing in boxing. You know what I mean? And there's a true saying. I mean, it's not who you fight, it's who you avoid. You know what I mean? And I think Josh has played it clever here, and I think he's getting Liam at the right time.
Some big news from a few days ago with Ryan Garcia. We saw now he's obviously received a small fine. You'd probably have to say that it was the maximum for the commission of £10,000, 1 year ban, and obviously 1.1 million purse returns. Do you see that as a fitting punishment?
No, it's a joke, innit? It's a joke, absolute joke. I mean, where they get these rules from, I never know. I mean, he's been found guilty. He's been done for taking illegal substances. He's been on the gear. So, you know what I mean? He needs banning properly. A minimum of 3 years, in my opinion, and an hefty fine. But like you say again, one rule for one and one for another, and he's got away lightly here.
I was going to say that you say one rule for one for another. A fighter in Liam Cameron who went through a sort of a similar. There were similarities that could be drawn. He had, I think, 4 years. He was out of the sport, whereas it seems to just be one.
That was disgusting. That was disgusting for Liam. I mean, I really felt for him. I mean, he nearly sent him over the edge, and he bless him. He went off the rails. I mean, and look at him now. He's rebuilding. He had a great fight with Lyndon Arthur the other night, and full credit to him. I mean, like he said himself, he went up to 19 stone. He was depressed, and you know what I mean, had mental health problems, and at the end of the day, that's how it can send you. And you know what I mean, whoever's giving out this punishment needs to really consider what they're doing and look at what they're doing, because it can ruin people. And obviously, what Liam got done for was a bit completely different to Ryan Garcia.
Does it set a bad precedent and a bad example? I mean, 1 year out of a career isn't that much, and fighters may be looking at that and considering that risks can be taken for 1 year of their career.
Well, that's what I mean, because a lot of these elite fighters now, they only fight once a year, so it ain't going to make no odds to them, is it? I mean, it's not like back in the day when they were fighting like 3 or 4 times a year at elite level. Now they're fighting twice a year max. It's crazy because of the money they're getting. They don't need to, which isn't good for boxing, but yeah, they're having slow burning careers now, and at the end of it, they can't really look back and say they've achieved what they should have done because they haven't been active enough. But like you say, I mean, he's got away with it lightly, and a year's definitely not strong enough punishment for him.
We're expecting tomorrow Anthony Joshua to be announced to be facing Daniel Dubois. Daniel's a fighter that's had a real good couple of fights. The Jarrell Miller win, the win over Hrgovic was probably, you'd have to say, unexpected as well in lots of people's eyes. Look, has he got a chance, do you think, of beating Joshua?
100%. 100%. I heard rumours back in the day that Dan used to get topside sparring when they used to spar a lot. When Dan used to go over to Sheffield, to the Institute of Sport and spar him, I heard he used to get topside of him. So you can't write Daniel off in this fight. I mean, he can punch hard, and we know that Joshua can go down. We know that Dubois can. I mean, it's heavyweights at the end of the day, the way they punch. You know, I mean, if one of them lands, you're going to go down. But you can't write Dubois off. He's in with a great chance. He's in great form, isn't he? I mean, fantastic form. I mean, people's wrote him off. People's questioned his art, obviously, especially after the Joyce fight. But look how he's come back. You know what I mean? He's come back strong. He gave Usyk all sorts of problems. I mean, some people saying it was never a low blow, and if it wasn't a low blow, he would have got the win because he were down for God knows how long. So you can't write Dubois off. He's in with a great chance. But Joshua's on form as well. He's looking good. And we're in a great position, British heavyweight boxing. I mean, obviously, we've got Dubois, we've got Joshua, we've got Tyson Fury. I mean, three great fighters, and he's good for boxing.
Do you think Dubois punches harder than Joshua?
He's definitely up there. I really think he is. Yeah, I mean, Joshua's sharp and snappy, whereas Dubois is a little bit more heavier-handed. And then obviously timing sometimes is what you need. I mean, Joshua's got good timing and good reflexes, but it's an interesting fight. It's a great fight, and I really hope it does get announced and get an happen because it's fantastic for British boxing. It's another Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno job, innit? You know what I mean? I mean, that was a great domestic dust-up back in the day, and it's great to see.
Is it nice to see these big fights coming back to the UK? We're obviously seeing so much over in Saudi Arabia that maybe the scene at that level has been missing a little bit. Oh,
definitely. I mean, obviously, when all these fights are getting announced in Saudi Arabia and places like that, we're a little bit gutted because we want them over here, and it looks like we're going to be getting a massive Wembley card. And that's fantastic for boxing. I mean, and I would say it'll probably be absolutely rammed and sold out, and it'll definitely top the 90,000 for sure.
We certainly hope so. Well, appreciate time, Carl.
Great stuff.
You got any shows coming up that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, 14th of September, I'm back at Grantham. We had a good show there last week. Grantham Mears Centre, a nice venue. It's a leisure centre, but it holds 1,000 people. So we'll get that rammed. And then a month later, October the 26th, I'm back at the Matiola Arena, it's called now, in Leicester. That holds 3,000, a fantastic venue, which has held numerous TV shows there before. We're going to go back there and hopefully get a big crowd. And then November the 23rd, I'm back in my hometown of Newark. So 3 good shows in 3 months. Keeping my fighters active, keeping them busy, and obviously helping them all progress to get to championship level and hopefully get on the big stage, because that's what I always try and do.
Perfect. Excellent stuff. Cheers for your time, Carl.
Thank you, Josh.